In this video, I'm going to be talking about the song Hurdy Gurdy Man by Donovan, and I'm going to show you how to play the basic strummy acoustic part, but the main focus is going to be on the amazing guitar solo. In my opinion, one of the greatest fuzz guitar solos ever played, and long rumoured to have been played by Jimmy Page, but I'll tell you now, it almost certainly wasn't played by Jimmy Page, but it's never a bad thing to have the name Jimmy Page in the title of one of your videos, I don't think, but I'll tell you a bit more about that later on. I'm going to start by trying to play through the solo, and actually probably a little bit stupid trying to play a solo like this note for note, just because it's so wild and obviously this kind of quite free, spontaneous thing. But I'm going to try and do that anyway, or at least approximate what is going on. I might do one or two things my own way. So let me do that first, and then I'll get on to the teaching stuff. Let me tell you a bit about this one, and it was written by Donovan whilst he was in India with the Beatles, where they were studying transcendental meditation. And it is said that George Harrison actually had a hand in writing some of the lyrics on this track. I'm not sure exactly what his contribution was. I don't think he's credited, but he's said to have helped out Donovan in the writing of the track, and it was recorded in 1968. It was released as a single then. Later it was the title track of the album The Hurdy Gurdy Man, which came out in the same year. And it's just such a great psychedelic track. I love the production on this. The drums are great. There's kind of constant drum fills throughout the track, which really works well. The vocals are really nice, and of course the guitar playing is great too. And it's definitely got a bit of a spooky quality to it, I think, which was picked up on in the film Zodiac. That's quite a famous recent usage of this tune on the soundtrack to that film, which is well worth checking out if you've not seen it. As to who actually played guitar on this one, as I said, there has been quite a lot of controversy and debate. It's not been helped by the fact that those involved have often said some quite contradictory things about who was actually present in the session. And Donovan, he said he initially wanted Jimi Hendrix to play on this one, but he wasn't available at the time, so Jimmy Page ended up playing on the track. And then a later time he said that Alan Holdsworth actually played guitar, and that seems kind of unlikely, but I suppose it's a possibility. But now I think it's fairly widely agreed that guitar was actually played by Alan Parker, the great British session player, who actually spoke about quite recently on this channel when I did my lesson on Serge Gainsbourg's Melody Nelson. And this has been confirmed by John Paul Jones. He played bass on this track, and he said it was definitely Alan Parker on guitar. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't think it was Jimmy Page or Alan Holdsworth. I think Donovan probably just got his Alans confused there. So let's get down to business. I'm going to start by showing you how to play the acoustic parts, and then we'll get into the electric parts and the solo. I rate Donovan quite highly as an acoustic guitarist. There's nothing fancy going on, but I think he's got a great feel. And this song's pretty simple to play. Key of G. We've got two sections to the tune. There's a verse section and a chorus section. The verse goes like this. We've got so very simple. We've just got four chords here. We've got G, B minor, C and D. There are various ways you could play these chords. I'm just kind of going by what I've seen Donovan do in live footage. So he tends to play his G like this. So it's kind of that thumb over the top way of playing the bar chord. So rather than having the first finger all the way across, I've just got my first finger covering the top 2 strings. My thumb is covering the bass note. So you've got various options here. You can just play a regular G chord if you want to. You can play a bar chord like that, or you can play it with the thumb over the top. So 2 beats on that. Then we're going to B minor, and again Donovan tends to play this with his thumb over the top. You can actually hear that kind of F sharp in the bass and the B in the bass as well. So I found that a little bit awkward playing 2 notes over the top with my thumb, but you can give that a try if you want to, or you could just play it like that instead. Then we've got a C, and it's the C with the G in the bass there, and then just do a normal open D chord. 2 beats on each of those chords. You can quite often just hear some open strings in the gaps between the chords. So that's the verse, and in terms of the music theory here, this is the 1 chord, and then we've got the 3 minor chord, and then it's 4 and 5, so all of those chords diatonic to the key of G major. Then when we go to the chorus, it starts off on an F chord. We've got F, C and G. Again, 2 beats on the F, 2 beats on the C, then 4 beats on the G. Little bit of palm muting sounds good on this. It kind of adds to the kind of rhythmic nature of the part. So interesting kind of the theory here. We've got the F in there, which is not diatonic to the key of G major. It's actually the flat 7 chord, so that's giving you a kind of Mixolydian feel for the choruses. So G Mixolydian scale or Mixolydian mode, it's like the G major scale, but instead of the F sharp we've got an F instead, so it's got a slightly kind of more mysterious, melancholic quality to it. So quite a nice songwriting device, I think. You've got the verse in G major, then it just shifts slightly to G Mixolydian for the chorus of the tune. And that's really it for the acoustic part. It's just those 2 sections which are repeated. Nothing too tricky to play, just focus on good rhythm and a good feel with that part, I think. Let's look at the electric part there. I'm actually hearing 2 electric guitar tracks, one on the left and one on the right. Both sound like they're played by the same person to me. I imagine one of the tracks was recorded live with the band, and then the other one is an overdub. And we've got mostly single notes here. We've got some low bass note stuff played during the chorus. We've got some single note fills, and of course we've got the solo as well. And if you want to think in terms of scales, I mean, a lot of this is played in the 3rd position. You can think about your G minor pentatonic scale, or you can think about your G Mixolydian mode. So a lot of the note choice is kind of taken from those 2 scales, and there's also some kind of weirder, more dissonant stuff in there as well. And the first thing you hear with the electric guitar part, it kind of creeps in with some nice bends. Kind of G minor pentatonic stuff. We've got these low bass notes. Just accompanying the chords of the chorus, we've kind of got the root of the F, then we've got an E, which is the 3rd of the C chord, and then we've got the root of the G chord. Just these long, sustained, kind of fuzz bass notes. And then some more of these fills. But really I want to focus on the solo now, and I'm not going to take you through this absolutely note for note. I'm not sure I'm doing some of this stuff exactly like on the record. It is quite a wild solo. Some of the stuff is quite hard to decipher off the recording, but I'll just take you through some of my favourite phrases and talk about some of the ideas that he's using here. And it's one of those solos where it kind of seems to break some of the rules, that, if you like, that I was talking about in a video a couple of weeks back, where I'm talking about, you know, leaving space and all of that stuff. It is quite a maximalist solo in terms of the notes. There's no rests really in this solo, but it does work for this song. So it's all about the particular situation. And yeah, there's a lot of notes in this solo, but it still is developed in a really nice way. We've certainly got melody, we've got nice phrases and ideas which you connect in a kind of logical and really musical way. The first phrase you hear goes like this. Great opening to the solo. I think this is in fact kind of two guitars. You can hear it starts on the left and then the guitar on the right takes over, but I'm kind of merging the two parts here. It's all really kind of G minor pentatonic, but really nice use of open strings here. All of the open strings are available to you in this particular key, so very often he's pulling off from 5 to 3 to the open string. So also playing around with the open G and then the fretted G as well. So that's an idea which crops up quite a lot in this solo. Next phrase. So this is really nice, really melodic. He's really just playing the melody of the tune at this point. So starting down here on this F. Some little embellishments in there. We've got another open string in there. And then he's taking a similar idea higher. So kind of taking that idea up an octave, exactly what I was talking about the other week with you know, how you develop solos. One of the devices is just to change the octave of an idea. There are some variations, there are some embellishments, but it's basically the same melody taken up higher. Then next we've got this. So I'm hearing this as all played on the B string. It's kind of got a little melody, and then just taking this little idea down, and then that's followed with more of a kind of pentatonic, kind of bluesy phrase. So interesting here, he's kind of playing down in the first position. So it's slightly jarring note choice there. It's kind of not obvious, but I think it really works. I like the slight dissonance of that, and then he goes up 2 frets, you know, into the G minor pentatonic. So kind of more of a conventional kind of blues lick there. Then we're into some slightly faster stuff, and this is pretty hard to decipher from the recording, but I'm doing it like this. We've got, so I kind of pull off from 3 to 2 to the open 3rd string, and then going between the open 3rd string and the fretted G at the 5th fret on the D. And then into this idea, going between those 2 G notes, a kind of Chuck Berry-ish kind of a rhythm. And then some more of this stuff. And then I'm hearing the next phrase as something like this. So some more of this kind of first position moving into the 3rd position with these kind of bends. More open strings. And then the solo ends. I can hear this great high bend up at the 15th fret, bending it kind of 1.5 tones here. And then down to the G minor pentatonic. And then ending with a big slide on the D string. and plenty of vibrato. What a great solo that is. There's so many things I like about this one, and I just love the abandon with which it's played. The rhythm is really unpredictable, and there's a really nice balance between some melodic stuff and also some kind of crazier and more dissonant stuff. So it's a kind of a perfect solo in many ways, I think. Let's talk gear, and I'm using my Les Paul today, and that's because following on from the research I did for my Serge Gainsbourg video, I know that Alan Parker was often a Les Paul user. I actually said in that video that he used a 1964 Les Paul. I got that information from my Serge Gainsbourg book, but as many of you pointed out, such a thing does not exist, so I'm just assuming he must have been mistaken with the year on his Les Paul. The amp today is my Fender Princeton, and I'm using quite an interesting fuzz pedal today. It's the Noise Space Audio 5 Fuzz, and I've got quite a few fuzz pedals. I did a quick shootout between them, and this was the one that seemed to work best for this particular track. And I got this a few months ago. It's from a Ukrainian company, and this pedal is essentially a clone of an ultra rare fuzz pedal, a WEM Project 5 Fuzz. Apparently it's quite an unusual circuit, and it sounds fantastic. I mean, I've dialed it in today to try and approximate those kind of 60s sounds, but it's capable of some really weird stuff as well, and it's got some kind of strange controls on it. It's got kind of 2 bias controls and these switches which seem to be some kind of filtering effect, and so you can kind of get more traditional fuzz sounds and also some kind of crazy out of control stuff. It's a really excellent pedal. This is not an advert. I bought the pedal with my own money, but it's yeah, it's highly recommended. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Hope you enjoy working on this tune. As usual, tab and my backing track will be up on my Patreon page. Pay what you like to get access to those. Thanks for watching. See you next time.